Okay, Anne, it was great working with you the other day. Uh, I'm gonna talk over some of the videos of your rolls. On the left, we have one of your stronger rolls. On the right, we have a series of the other rolls that we captured video of. First thing we'll do is watch the one on the left all the way through at about half speed. Here we go. Some of the things I really like about this, your blade gets all the way up out of the water, especially your backhand is nice and high. Watch what that does for your back blade. See how it can sneak up above your boat? So keep that backhand nice and high. With that backhand nice and high, this back blade is able to swing around under you. Sometimes what can happen is that the back blade will clunk against the stern of the boat, making it really hard to get the front blade of the paddle out. So please don't ever change that about your roll. Next, we get some really good clearance of your paddle out to the side of your kayak before your kayak does almost any rotation. So I would say there's a tiny bit of rotation starting as you sweep out. The bulk of the rotation is after you've gotten an angle of the shaft to your kayak, meaning that you're not trying to move your boat with your paddle shaft parallel to your kayak. So having your shaft at this angle to your kayak before you start your boat rotation is pretty awesome. Let's watch your boat rotation. Some really great things about your boat rotation. The majority of your boat rotation happens with your paddle shaft perpendicular to the center line of your kayak. That's going to give you maximum leverage on this rotational axis of your kayak. Next, we're going to keep an eye on this left hand, which, as you accurately reported, can tend to wander. In this particular roll, it did sort of a B plus A minus job of staying home. So here we go. Let's watch that. It does just barely cross the center line here. It looks like you're wiping your nose, kind of where your wristwatch would go. I don't think you're actually wiping your nose. But it doesn't cross all the way over to the other shoulder. And you're pretty quickly able to transfer your weight to the other side. Something that can happen when this left hand really travels across the center line and even gets out over the water is that weight of our whole left arm adds this like unhelpful counterbalance towards the side we're trying to come up on and can really diminish the effectiveness of our roll. So nice job with that. And then finally, like I said, really nice job transferring your weight all the way over to the other side of your kayak seat. That's a really assertive way to finish the roll. Now let's do some comparison of this roll to some of the other rolls. Here are those two again, slower. In this roll on the right, it's very clear that that one was shot after we started doing the like high elbow thing for you. And for you, that seemed to mean also putting your wrist by your nose and pointing your nose up in the air. I think you'll agree that that's present there. That part of this isn't necessarily helping your roll be stronger. It was a really great exercise in you practicing changing your mentality or changing your mindset and adding a biomechanical change to that without your roll falling apart. And in the future, as you keep developing that, we'd be looking for this wrist to be closer to shoulder height. So it's more the elbow driving forward here, sorry, driving forward from its place at its side by the rib cage. So that's a longer term goal that we can look for. Here's a side-by-side comparison of a different roll. My memory is that this one didn't feel like it worked quite as well for you. Some things that I'm noticing are as your kayak comes under you or as your head comes back over your kayak, you're quite a bit further back, maybe 3-4 inches. That sounds like a small distance, but in terms of how balance works, and especially if we think of your spine as a kind of lever with the fulcrum at the seat of your kayak, throwing that weight of your head back at the end of the long lever of your spine starts to create exponential changes in the mechanics of your roll. And I think that's one of the downsides of that exercise we were doing of like getting your elbow high, because look how much higher your elbow is as you come up. Nice job on that. But if that's at the expense of your chin being way back, like above your tailbone instead of above your belt buckle, not that you were wearing a belt, but if you were wearing a belt, where your belt buckle would be, I think the roll on the left is a stronger example. So again, just a reminder for future, it's not necessarily getting your elbow high, especially not high like above the level of your shoulder. It's more about swinging it forward towards the front of your kayak at the end of the roll. And here's one final roll compared. The one we haven't seen is on the right. The most important takeaway here, I think this is the one that maybe struggled the least, or sorry, where you struggled the most is the one on the right compared to the others. What I want to call your attention to is the position of that left hand. Look how high it is in the left side of the frame of the video. Look how low it is in the right hand side. They're both about the same distance across your body, but with that left hand low, your shaft starts to clunk on the side of your boat and doesn't give you the same sort of draw to the hip action that pulls your boat back under you. So just going back to this video on the left, this was one of your stronger rolls. This was before I asked you to change very much. And I think that some of the rolls that you did where you were focused on driving the elbow forward, for the most part it was driving up, but let's if you continue working on that, let's get it driving forward, will help create a kind of a draw stroke to the hip that'll help pull that boat in under you more forcefully at the end of your roll. Again, it was such a pleasure working with you. Maybe we'll have a chance to do that again. Either way, hope to see you out there on the river.